Randy, what are we talking about today? Why are we here on this podcast? What is it? What is the amazing topic that we're doing today?
Today, we're going to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes.
Finally coming out. I swear I've been hearing about this movie for like the past 3 years.
This movie has been very high anticipation especially because this is one of the this is one of the only superhero movies coming out of Marvel coming out this year. Really just like one of the only super movies coming out period this year. Because it's been kind of like a bit of a dry spell for superhero movie fans. But yeah, this is the big one. Deadpool and Wolverine finally hitting theaters. But let's get into it. Yeah, let's just go ahead and get started into Deadpool. I really enjoyed it, and I think this might be a bold statement coming out the gate. I think I like it more than the first two, but I'm very like fully aware that it's like that probably most or a lot of moviegoers won't. And what I mean by that is this movie is full of cameos. It's full of jokes about superhero movies, not just about Marvel, but the whole industry together, about time and multiverse and how everything's a multiverse now. But it's also
It's
like
Deadpool. There is no fourth wall.
exactly, yeah, and tons of jokes directly at the audience. But really like a love letter for like the X-Men fans and X-Men movie fans, which I freaking love. Always loved the X-Men since I was a kid. But I recognize also that for like if you just go and watch movies for movies and you're not the biggest like X-Men or superhero fan, I don't think this is gonna be the movie to like bring you in. I think this is unapologetically like, no, this is for comic book nerds and nobody else. And like it fully admits that and it fully commits to that. It doesn't try to like explain every single cameo or every single character that pops up. It is full just like we are here for the niche and for like the hyper fans, and that's it. And I kind of respect that about it. Robert, what are your thoughts on just the movie in general?
I'm definitely with you. I honestly feel like that was my favorite one I've seen out of all of them. I feel like it was like the best paced out of all the movies. I think a lot of the jokes landed a lot better than, at least for me, than like the first two. I love the meta humor. I love like the references, even if I don't understand a lot of them since I haven't been like an X-Man fan.
Yeah.
But you could just tell that they really care for these properties and wanted to at least give them some love. And you see elements of that throughout the entire movie. I love a lot of the fight sequences. There's one shot in particular, which I think both of you guys know exactly the one I'm talking about, that I think was just so fucking cool to watch in the theater.
Yeah, the towards
We'll,
the
we'll,
end, I'm
we'll definitely
imagining.
talk. Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep. Like the shots like that, there's just a lot of really good like cinematography in that. Heck, even like the very first like couple minutes of the movie was really cool, albeit kind of fucked up, but
I will.
really cool to watch.
I will
Very
definitely.
creative.
I will definitely talk. I know it's the opening sequence, but I will definitely talk about the opening sequence in the spoiler section because I definitely think it's worth like if you don't know what it is, go and watch that because seeing that opening in the theaters was amazing. But I'm like, people should experience that for the first time. But I will
Yes.
definitely talk about it in the spoiler section. It's great.
But yeah, I like that. I think what they do with like the story is pretty interesting and how Marvel multiverse stuff gets handled, I think works pretty good. And especially I this might be slight spoiler-ish, but if they do something like with one character that they'll do with Robert Downey Jr. playing Doctor Doom in Doomsday, if they do something like that, I think I might be okay more with where they're going with this. But we'll kind of save that for later too.
Yeah,
But
I might
overall, I
ask
just
like you to expand on that because even I'm confused what you're saying. But we'll go back to
yeah,
that. We'll come back to that later.
yeah. But overall, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was probably my favorite one. If I had to give it a ranking, I'd probably get like an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
I just really enjoyed it.
We gotcha.
Anyway,
Hey,
on to Randy.
yeah. Anyway, on to Randy's. I didn't even ask for rankings yet. Perfect. Robert's ahead of the game. But Randy, what are your? You absolutely hated this movie, right? You thought it was complete trash. Am I not wrong?
You are completely wrong.
Okay.
I really enjoyed this movie. I agree with Robert to where, well, I don't know if it's the best of the three. I'm sure we'll probably talk about that a bit later, unless you want to talk about it right now. But I did really enjoy it. I enjoyed that. I mean, I know it might get some backlash in regards like later down the line, similar to uh, No Way Home. Not No Way Home. No, it is No Way Home.
Hmm.
The last Spider-Man, in regards to like, oh, it's just like cameo and whatnot. But I feel like these are more deeper cuts, and
Yeah.
it's less like going into Spider-Man. Everyone's like, oh, well, here comes Andrew Garfield.
See,
Okay,
with Spider-Man, it was just the worst kept secret of like
yeah.
Yeah.
everything going in that movie.
It was. Well, I think
This
also.
one felt very like known
I think also like
or
with.
like unknown.
Yeah, I think also like with that because I had a conversation with with my friend Nick who I saw this with, and he was confused like, well, why aren't because he's not as big into like superhero movies. Like, why didn't people have a big as reaction when like this character showed up, and like when this cameo happened? And I think the difference between No Way Home and when they do their quote unquote cameo versus this is like in Deadpool, because it's a comedy and because it's like jokes, you kind of expect it, and you know this one is just a cameo. Like this is like characters gonna pop up, do something silly, but like they're not gonna like they'll maybe impact the story, but like it's more played for like jokes and for silliness versus in No Way Home, like that is supposed to be a really big character moment. Like that's the point of the film. It's less of a cameo and more of a introduction of this character again. Um, which I think is like, and I think that's why people have bigger reactions when it came to like No Way Home. Uh, but also, again, like what Randy was saying, with the whole like bringing up, this thing's full of cameos and full of like guest people, and I'm like, yeah, but that is kind of like what you expect almost with Deadpool, and like kind of what you go into it for.
Yeah, like Deadpool is very referential.
Yeah, exactly. Except now that he's in Marvel, he can reference them, and then they actually show up this time. Yeah. But sorry, Randy, I didn't mean to sidetrack you.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
The overall, like I said, I enjoyed it. I thought the jokes landed. I don't know. It's kind of difficult to talk about without
Yeah.
spoiling some things, but and I agree with Robert in regards to the pacing. It felt that it is more of like, okay, we have a defined like start, middle, end, where I feel like maybe a little bit of the second one felt like it was kind of like, what's happening?
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that was just me. Maybe that's just my poor memory, and I need to watch it again. But uh, I'd say overall, yeah, I think I agree with Robert. Maybe like an 8.5, an 8, maybe. Maybe it'll be more like an 8 later on in the future, kind of similar to like No Way Home when people are like, okay, there's the cameo.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I agree. I think 8.5 is a good rating for this movie. I think it does very well, and it kind of does what people expected, where it's like, yeah, it'll make fun of Marvel and the whole timeline / multiverse things, and it'll do what's expected. So I think 8.5 is like a good solid rating for it. I don't think it does anything like that will like change Marvel forever. But it definitely needed to do well, and I think it has done that because I've seen a lot of people react very positively to this. And even like the whole like hashtag Marvel's back because everyone was saying Marvel was dead before this. These movies make millions of dollars. They're not dead. They're fine. They're so fine. But no, I think oh, go ahead.
So I think when people say that, it just feels like a lot of like everything after Endgame had like a soulless feeling to it. Like it was just, here's another Marvel movie. It didn't feel like it really had the heart with it. But like what you got with like something like Guardians 3 or Deadpool 3 is like you could tell these people really wanted to make this movie.
Yeah.
Like you just feel like a lot of the passion behind it. so it makes it a lot more enjoyable to watch because you can tell that the people who worked on it actually care about this.
Yeah, this one had like a reason to do it, not just because like, well, it's time
Well,
to
I
like
guess we'll
meet the
make the
quota.
next Ant-Man.
Yeah,
Still haven't watched that.
even
Don't think I
you,
will.
you
I
know,
don't know if there's much of a point anymore because Kang's kind of.
yeah, there's not really a point. You know, it's a fun retrospective on to like look at like, oh, this is how they were setting it up. Interesting. Um, so even though I will always admit that movie's better than The Flash, and I will fight people on that. The Flash is an awful movie.
That is not a very high barrier.
No,
That's a pretty
but
low bar.
I've had to have arguments with people of just like, yeah, but the Flash had my key, and I'm like, yeah, but that's it. Like every other character, at least the Flash, Flash like pissed me off. Ant-Man would just kind of existed and then was finished, and that was it.
Drew, the
Sorry.
bar is so low and ants can crawl over it.
I know, and that's what I'm explaining to people. We're all in agreement. I'm doing the Seth thing where like I'm arguing to like two people that agree with me, and I just feel like I'm getting nowhere.
You're like, we agree with you, but you don't understand.
But no, you don't get it. This is stupid. Like, no, we understand. Okay. But yeah. Closing that out. Quick, easy 10-minute review. 8.5. Go see it, and go definitely see it in theaters. I think that's the other thing. I think this is definitely a go watch in theaters. Like, don't wait for it to be
I feel
on
like
Disney or Marvel. It's a good experience, and because it's like a comedy, it's good to like. It's a good movie
to laugh along with like other people. I had a pretty good
Exactly.
audience.
Yeah.
I hope they thought the same for me, that I wasn't obnoxious or anything. I didn't think I was, but
Hopefully not.
it was like seeing it with a group of people definitely adds to the experience.
Nah, definitely. Agree.
Yeah, it was a pretty packed theater. I went with Becca to go see it. Both of us had a good time with it.